to rest in power. I want to end there, but I just also want to encourage the people, his family. I can see Winnie has walked in, Karibu Sana Winnie, and his political party and many other actors, that we hope that we can continue to work in that same spirit and we can continue to fight for democracy. We always say that Baba started a journey, and we jokingly say that he was to take us to Canaan. I don't know how many people feel that they're in Canaan yet, but there's a big section of this country that feels we are not yet there. He took us a great distance in that journey towards democracy, towards accountability, towards constitutionalism, and everything else, all those values and principles that he fought so hard. He fought so hard, we even for the first time had them entrenched in our constitution. He gave us a good direction, but that journey is unfinished. He left us in good stead, and I really hope that we can continue to work together to complete that journey in memory of Baba. Viva Baba, viva. Long live Baba spirit, long live. Thank you.
Sheila, thank you very much. Please just appreciate her as she takes her seat. I hope you're warming up. I hope you're warming up as, you know, some of those memories come to life. I would like at this point to recognize the presence of the chair, Center for Multi-Party Democracy. I get confused, Mheshimiwa. You know, I thought that honorable is a very big title, but now this His Excellency. So, but he bears both. I like honorable because I think it describes a character that I can associate with you. So the Honorable Kiraitu Murungi is just joined us. I also would like to recognize the presence of the Honorable Winnie Odinga, member for the East African Legislative Assembly. And please, thank you very much. Thank you for appreciating them. We love them, and we welcome them in our midst. We are going to have one more speaker before we have a music interlude from the 5Cs band, and then now we get into the serious meat. If you come from a sort of a lower middle class to not middle class family, you know, when you are eating, you start with the vegetables and then you keep the meat. You keep the meat until the end, and you hope that there's no darkness and you don't have naughty siblings who will take the lone piece of meat from your plate. So we are keeping the meat for the middle, but for now, we've had a few things that Sheila and Cornelius spoke about Baba. And I think he transformed this country. He built institutions, he built cultures, but there was also a thing about, he built us as citizens. And I was earlier talking about a public audit that I saw this week. And Sheila was one of the people at the head of it. Another chief suspect who produced that public audit of debt in Kenya is in the House. And I think that the Okoa Uchumi public audit is one of the demonstrations of what citizen agency can mean. Baba was one of those people who not only led from the front, but also inspired people to be the change. And I think we are beginning to see a bit of that. And so I'm going to invite Diana Gishengo. During the day, she's the executive director of the Institute for Social Accountability. In the evenings, she causes problems by publishing reports like the one I've just mentioned. Please welcome Diana Gishengo to the stage.
Thank you very much, Kwamchetsi. Kwamchetsi is an editor, and I suspect he's an auditor of such newspapers. Good afternoon. No, protocols first. I'll stand on the protocols established and start by recognizing the chair of Center for Multi-Party Democracy, Honorable Kiraitu Murungi. and all other representative of parties, then Honorable Winnie Odinga, all representatives of the people. I like to ensure that we greet each other as good afternoon, taxpayers. Good afternoon, taxpayers. Mmekubali hiyo salamu. Baba would have endorsed salamu ya walipa ushuru. And I stand here, yes, as the executive director of TISA, but somebody who interacted with Baba on several fronts during campaigns, but also during moments when this nation needed leadership, significant leadership of minorities. Baba stood up, and I hope they're in the room, with the Nyayo torture chamber victims, prisoners of conscience who have their headquarters up here in Kabete. Njeri would know them very well, but I fondly remember in the run-up to the 2022 election, when Baba visited a home in Kabete, and the protocol team came na wakaanza kukagua masahani, not knowing that Baba was right behind them. He knew all the mothers of the sons who were detained by name. So aliwaambia, akiwachana na mama Kang'ethe, hawezi niroga, nitakula kutoka kwa hiyo sahani. This is right at the heart of Kabete. He did not fear. He was not worried about connecting with his friends, despite the fact that the people who were around there were more aligned to his competitor. And I see Suba here. Notably, and I know Sophie and Tim are here, that day Baba sang Wimbo wa Mapambano 5 times. He sang Wimbo wa Mapambano 5 times. Every time people would narrate what the Mwakenya movement had done, he would listen in a very thoughtful way. From the 70s, 80s, these were his friends. They had told each other these stories through and through. Then, you know, like how you have a pambio in church. The pambio during this particular visit was Wimbo wa Mapambano. I happen to have worked in this country with people who are known as stateless persons. Stateless persons are people who, for the longest time, and because of the history of colonialism, how they get into the country, out, they are significantly marginalized. A stateless person has no identity. They don't exist. And whereas we trekked to State House to meet the President, Uhuru Kenyatta, before, Baba had told us, please make sure you help as many stateless communities in this country to get an ID. Sometimes I get offended when I hear the stories of Northern Kenya and the vetting of IDs. Because the one person who really spoke about why we need to foster inclusion of all the areas, including Northern Kenya, for the longest time and consistently, was Baba Raila Amolo Odinga. Please, let us memorialize his history and what he stood for in the best way possible. In the best way possible. When it was time to align, we never struggled as civil society, because the things we stood for was what Baba stood for. I work at TISA. We love devolution. We have been to Supreme Court. Now we are in the Court of Appeal on the CDF. What did Baba say on CDF? There are numerous instances where he has pleaded with members of parliament, please just do your work of oversight, representation, and legislation. Let CDF money remain with the governors and the communities. That was Baba. Baba even believed in one county, one product. Hamko mnafuata kampeni ya Baba, by the way? From Baba Care. One county, one product. Baba hated provincial administration. He was very clear that this is what we needed to emancipate.
My work is easy because I use ClickUp. Here's how AI saves me.
They couldn't cooperate with him in 2022. Those are rumors. But he always stood for devolution and bringing resources and power closer to the people. Will that dream die now that we are seeing 12 years of devolution and we are yet to transfer and unbundle functions? If anything, the summit now comes together to discuss how we will retain more resources at the national level, be it health, be it market. Surely Baba fought for something that is worth all of us fighting for, so that we finally realize the dream that he had for us. Finally, on debt, and hapa kila mtu mwenye ako na chama, nimekuja na gazeti ambayo tunasoma hii wiki, inaitwa The People's Audit. Imesambazwa kwa kila meza, and I will make sure I give it to the newspapers, to the delegates who are here. The People's Audit just finds we are where we are in a debt crisis because of corruption, which we are just calling, it's a nicer name. Kwamchetsi taught me that corruption does not exist in our vernacular language. Is that so? Yeah? Right? I can, now I will not lie. I have seen people who know me for many years. I will not lie. Corruption does not exist in our vernacular. And Baba, when he spoke about debt, he said, what we are doing to the children we have and the unborn children is satanic. Ni ushetani kabisa. Because we are creating a generation of millions away from us, the realization of human rights. I would have spoken to education, health, but imagine paka polisi hawana pesa. Sababu ya ni deni, but deni ndio iko hapa juu. Chini ni sababu ya wizi. Deni ndio iko hapa juu. Chini ni sababu ya wizi. And I'm told EACC is disputing a figure we have of 3 billion. We are saying we are losing 3 billion every year. This figure was first calculated by the Kenya Association of Manufacturers last year. Cumulatively, what we lose is 3 billion a day. 3 billion a day. We borrow about the same amount every day. If we were not losing money to corruption, to theft, we would not be in debt. So whether you sell Safaricom or
Okara of the Kenya National Interface Team, Ms. Caroline Gaita, Mzalendo Trust, my brother Irungu Hilton, ED Amnesty International Kenya, Ms. Masi Mwangi, Executive Director of Kenya Women Parliamentarians Association, Mr. Dennis Bundi, the National Cohesion and Integration Commission, I think this representation from Strathmore, Inuka, Inuka, Nisisi, Youth Agenda, Kipra, CIAG, Kenya. I can't recognize Diana, she's just been here. Mr. Namusiule Stephen, Executive Director, Ford Kenya, and the Honorable Jeremiah Kioni, Secretary General of Jubilee Party. Karibuni sana. We've dealt with the vegetables, but now we must have soup.
Your future starts at USIU Africa. Experience world-class education, a diverse community, and cutting-edge facilities designed to help you succeed. No matter your dreams, we provide the tools to make them happen.
The future of AI lies in agents that complete complex tasks end-to-end. But none of that works without an AI-ready data foundation. As an official Google Cloud partner, ADG builds the secure, governed, scalable environment required to power real automation. The agentic era is underway, and the organizations that prepare their data today will lead tomorrow. Go from AI-made to AI-ready with ADG.
We were remiss not to mention that there are 2 bands, and 5 Cs are also here. So we'd like them to just produce a bit of mchuzi, and then as they are getting to the top, we are getting ready now to listen to the meat of the occasion, as they find their way to the front. And CMD has been around for a while, and they are pillars. They are pillars of this institution. I'll just run through very, very quickly because I'm preparing the Honorable. I insist on the Honorable. I know it's His Excellency, but I insist on the Honorable. Yeah, there was the Professor Mkoa Anangwe, who was chair. Then there was Professor Apollo Njonjo, Professor Larry Gumbe. All these are former chairs. There was the Honorable Justin B. Muturi, Omingo Magara, Abushiro Halake, Honorable Priscilla Nyokabi, and now the man of the hour. But before we get there, I'll just invite 5 Cs, please. It's your moment.
Joey! Atukumbuki Joey? Joey! Thank you so much. Karibu sana, Sophie.
Oh yeah, yeah, hey. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey, oh yeah, yeah, hey. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey, hey. Oh yeah, yeah, hey. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey, oh yeah, yeah, hey. Oh yeah. We greet you all in the name of peace, freedom, and democracy for all of us. Our sincere and warmest gratitude goes to the millions of our compatriots and to those in every corner of the globe who have relentlessly supported our struggles for liberty against oppression, exploitation, and poverty. We salute the rank and file members of all formations of mass democratic movements, political parties, religious communities, and the working classes of our countries. We cannot forget the young people of this nation. The young people of this nation. We pay particular tribute to our gallant youth, the Gen Zs of this country, who continue to fight for the struggles that we have somehow left the gap in between. Oh yeah, yeah, hey. Oh yeah, 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 hey. Oh yeah, yeah, hey. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. We greet you mothers, any mother in the house or sisters, wives and sisters of our nations. You are the rock-hard foundation of our struggle. Many evil and brutal systems have inflicted more pain on you than on anyone else. The breath and soul of our nation truly belongs to the people of this nation. We salute you all. Idumu Kenya! The 5-6 Theatre is very happy to be here today. And thanks to our mentors who were there before. We've been here together for 30 years, since 1995. Jerry, we salute you. Today we are here. Otorongwen, we remember you. You know, we see all the people. Super Churchill, you're here. The organizations that have built us, that we've worked together, CMD, KHRC, NCC. And Diana, you know the gaps and where we've come from and where we're doing. And people keep asking us, hey, mnataka kukua wa shosho kwa hii movement. It's because we've not gotten what Baba wanted us to get. When we were the Gen Zs, Baba used to talk to us a lot. And so he loved the anthem. So now today, in honor of Baba, we'd request each one of you to kindly stand up so we can sing the alternative anthem of the struggle. We say that in every struggle, there must be an alternative. We have the Kenya national anthem that we love, that's a prayer. But we also have the alternative anthem of our struggle because we're in the struggle. So we kindly request you to just stand up and sing along with us if you know the song. Kupigwa na kupokonywa maisha hakutatuzuia sisi wananchi kunyakua uhuru wetu na haki ya jasho letu na haki ya jasho letu. Tumekataa kupiga magoti mbele ya hawa wauaji. Bila shaka sisi pia ni watu, hali ya utumwa tu
First, we'll do one more.
A round of applause to the 5Cs band. Asanteni sana. I think you can remain in place for a few minutes. Kindly allow us to go back to our program. It is with pleasure that I want to invite the chairperson of the Center, CMD, Center for Multi-Party Democracy Kenya, the person who's made this possible today, so that he can give his remarks, given that there is somewhere where he needs to be urgently subsequent to this event. Bwana Honorable His Excellency Kiraitu Murungi. Thank you. Makofi ya chair, tafadhali.
Asante sana wakili. We don't have to struggle too much about excellencies, honorable, what. Just call me Kiraitu, and that's good enough. I'm very, very happy. I'm very, very happy to be with you today and seeing some old friends. Our vice chair is here, Senator Siengo. A very old friend, Jerry Kabeberi, who actually introduced me to this struggle. I met her, that time she was working for an insurance company, way back in the 70s. And she's the only woman who earned some money. So, she paid fees for Koiwa Mwere when he had been detained without trial, not during Moi's time, during Kenyatta's time, the Kenyatta one. And we tried to find out whether she was his girlfriend, but she said she didn't know him. But she felt she had to support him. Can we appreciate her? So allow me to read a short speech which I made. Family of the late Raila Odinga, seen led by Honorable Winnie Odinga, our vice chair, Senator Mbedi Siengo, CMD, board members and staff who have put all this together. Allow me to call you all fellow lovers of democracy. See my good friend, Honorable Yeremia Kioni, is among you. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm the chairman of the CMD. I think Mako has read the list of Urus who went ahead of me, so that I'm currently the chair. And at CMD, we were formed in early 20s, early 2000 and something, with the sole purpose of protecting multi-party democracy in the country. Protecting it, and we do it in two ways: strengthening the capacity of various political parties, and secondly, trying to promote multi-party cooperation in key areas affecting our nation. So we promote the dialogue. You saw us with the PDF, the People's Dialogue Forum, which we had at Uhuru Park with about 3,000 people, and we do it continuously because we don't want the fires of democracy, to die in this country. So, as chair of Center for Multi-Party Democracy, it's my singular honor and pleasure to welcome all of you to this historic occasion where we are celebrating the International Human Rights Day under the theme Human Rights, Our Everyday Essentials, by celebrating and honoring the father of multi-party democracy in Kenya, the late Right Honorable Raila Omoro Odinga. I've been requested to make a few remarks on Raila the Enigma. And before I do so, this young man, from Chetty, we used to have problems with him when I was a member of parliament, because he used to say that Wananchi don't love us. And we asked him why. He says, no, they're just following you the way flies follow a carcass. So the flies love the dead animal, or they're just following the food. Yeah, so when I saw him here today, I remember that. So it's not easy for me to talk about Raila as an enigma, because an enigma is a person who is mysterious, a person who is difficult to understand, and a person who is impossible to fully explain. So how am I supposed to talk about that? I think one of the people, a philosopher who has inspired revolutionaries and reformers for centuries, is Karl Marx. But I think those who have read closely about Karl Marx, you know, his funeral is the funeral of Karl Marx was attended by only 11 people. And at that time, you know, it was like he had lost, he had lost the spark, the fire, you know, that time. And he stood the risk of even being forgotten. But if you compare him with Raila Odinga, the funeral of Raila Odinga was attended by hundreds of thousands, you know, of Kenyans. And you saw what happened at Kango, Jaramogi, making a pilgrimage. A lot of people from all walks of life showed up there. We in CMD were not able to deliver any bulls to Kango Kanjaramogi to show our respect, but we thought we could do this forum as our own way of delivering our bulls for Raila. A lot of things have been said and written about Raila, especially after his death, and I believe a lot more is going to be said. And there will be a debate about Raila and what he stood for, what he said, for many decades to come. I think it could be true to say Raila has been at the center of every political struggle in this country from 1980s until the time of his death. And no Kenyan has made greater personal sacrifices for democracy and freedom in this country more than the late Honorable Raila Omoro Odinga. I think this is a fact of history. You might like him or you might dislike him, but you can't change that fact. It is true. Personally, I met Raila in Shimoratewa prison way back in 1984. He had been detained without trial for his alleged participation in planning the aborted coup of 1982. You know, I can give you the inner story. For you to be taken to court for treason, then Kion, you know, you require corroboration from an independent witness. So Raila could not be taken to court because there was no independent witness. Anybody who would have been caught was a person who would either be implicated or not. So there are no evidence to take Raila to court, or even to charge him with treason. So they took a shortcut of detaining him without trial. And those days, even lawyers were not around to see detained people, although they are clear rights in the Constitution. So we had to take the Attorney General to court for us to get an order to be allowed to go and see Raila in Shimoratewa prison and not know where we were being taken. We were put in a chopper and through from Wilson Airport, wakapigam around, but finally they took us to Shimoratewa, and where I found Raila and staged a hunger strike in prison. They are not eaten for a number of days, and you will say you rather die rather than eat this food. They were giving terrible food. So I remember it was my first time to meet him, and we had quite an argument. And I was telling him, if you die, what do you think Moi would think? Wouldn't Moi be celebrating that you are dead? So, so we convinced him to eat, survive, so that he can live and fight Moi, another day. So the officer in charge, we asked to see the food he was eating. So they brought eggs and rice, and then so we asked Raila, is this the food you have refused to eat? So Raila said no. So then we said, okay, from now on let him be given this food because you have no problem with it. Because the next time we trying to see him, we were not there, then taking him to Naivasha. So that's how we got to know Raila. And those days, because they had changed the constitution in 1982 to make Kano the only role party in the country and making opposition, any form of opposition, illegal. So there was no other way of removing Moi and Kano from power. So it was legitimate to overthrow him through the force of arms. And for us those days, revolution was acceptable. And in fact, it was the only way of removing live presidents, from power. And we were inspired by other revolutions of the world, Fidel Castro in Cuba. We can read books from Frantz Fanon, Che Guevara, all those people. And Raila really liked Fidel Castro. That is why his son was called Fidel. And then near South Africa, near home South Africa, there was Winnie Mandela. That is why this lady is called Winnie. She was called Winnie Mandela. She was called Winnie after Winnie Mandela, so she was a namesake. And even my own children, my son is called Fanon, and my daughter is also called Winnie, after Winnie Mandela. Yeah, so we thought we would remove Moi through a revolution. And that was those like Raila, Koigi, and the others who were trying to do, those days. And then there were very many underground movements, with all manner of names. Until we met a priest in Vika, a German priest. He was called Father Max Stata. He had come from Latin America. And he had seen a lot of coups, the military in that country. And he was telling us the coups and the military takeovers will not be the right way to go. Because it's okay, Moi can be removed through the force of arms. But when the military get in how are you going to remove them, from power? So a military regime can only be removed through another military coup, isn't it? Even a revolutionary government, once in power, can also be removed only through another revolutionary government. And this would cause a cycle of bloodshed. And Africa will be forever in chaos, anarchy, because of this manner. And that is why the struggle for multi-party democracy became important, because at least there will be a limitation of the terms of the rulers, and there will be a democratic way of removing. You don't like them, you can remove them through the ballot box and all that. So this struggle to change Section 2A, so that we can return the country back to multipartyism, was informed by our understanding that there's a futility in trying to change through armed struggle. And Raila again became the champion of fighting for this democratic space, for the second liberation. We were younger people, Raila was a few years older, but he was the leader of the young Turks. And we did not have sufficient contact with the people or politics, so we had to work with the old people who were there then, the veterans, Jaramogi himself, Maside Muliro, and others. It is the struggle for multi-party democracy which introduced us to a country. I have not been in a place like Mandera. I went there in 1992 to campaign for Jaramogi in those days. And I remember when we landed there, instructions were given that we should not sleep in any hotel in Mandera. There was a small hotel there called Red Sea Hotel where we had been booked. But immediately we got in, the manager came out, the hotel was empty, but he came out and told us, I'm sorry, the hotel is full. But we had already been booked. So we moved on to the Mandera County Hostel, which was owned by the county council. The manager was very, very happy to receive us. And we were taken to our rooms. But immediately after that, we heard a woman screaming at the front office. And we came to know her husband had been arrested. And she had been told, so long as we were in the hotel, her husband would remain in prison. So she had come to plead with the manager to flush us out of the hotel so that her husband can be released. So eventually we were also pushed out of this hotel. But there was another Muzee, I think was called Ibrahim, who took us to his compound, and it was ward. He bought mattresses for us, and for 4 days we slept under a tree, under a mango tree, in Mandera. That we intended to stay for so many days. The aeroplane which we had chartered to take us to Mandera, when it came back to Nairobi, they were told not to go back. So we were stranded there. Yes. So I don't want to bore you with more of these stories. Finally, the struggle succeeded. We got multi-party democracy, but the structures of Kanu were still in place. We were just a democracy on paper. The dictatorship, the chiefs, and whatever continued. So, and although we had been elected to parliament, I remember I myself was caned by an AP in Nyeri as a member of parliament to Richapwa, Biboko. So, I think, so the struggle continued for another 10 years or so. Then we tried the elections. Of course, there was sham. We couldn't win. Then we tried to bring the opposition together because Moi was winning with only 30% of the votes. And then we couldn't agree. And when Jaramogi passed on in 1994, then 1997, without Moi and becomes one popular, then nobody can defeat him. So that's how Raila, Wamalwa, Ngilu, and the others, all of them stood because we were thinking Moi would be number 4 or number 5. But again, he beat us. And then we started now reorganizing ourselves again. And fortunately, this time, Ngilo Wamalwa and Kibaki agreed to support Kibaki for presidency, Wamalwa for vice. And then Raila had gone into Kanu. He's the one who kicked Kamolo, the Secretary General, out of Kanu. And, of course, he is accused of being compromised, etc., etc. But I met somebody called Sir David Steele. We went to be the election monitors in South Africa when Thabo Mbeki was coming in. So we spent a lot of time with Sir David Steele because he was the leader of our team. And he was a friend of the Raila family for a long, long time. So I asked David Steele, please tell me the truth. How come Raila went to work with Moi? And he told me they had done their own analysis and they are the ones who advised you to work with Moi and try to weaken Kanu from within. Because now, the way we were, we couldn't win. So, and Raila went there, and for sure he shook them because kicking Kamodo out of and becoming the Secretary General of Kanu was not a simple thing. Then Moi handed over to Huru. So it was some bonus for us because this brought Raila brought back with him Kalonzo, Saitoti, and many other people.
I wish to warmly welcome all Kenyans and our visitors to Jamhuri Week, taking place from Monday, 8 December to 12 at the KICC. Join us as we celebrate our rich culture, unique experience, and the vibrancy that make Kenya a truly special destination. You're most welcome.
Nikipeleka watoto Sharks this Chrissy, ina swipe na napata cashback. Nikia hotelini nikimunch, ina swipe na napata cashback. Nikifanyia madhe shopping, kaunga, kaskari, ina swipe na napata.
They use nuclear energy. And the best way for us is for us to go for nuclear energy in the country. They say France is even exporting nuclear energy to Spain. So why can't we have nuclear energy and export? Yeah, so we started the nuclear energy project. It took me to Korea, we negotiated for it. We went to France and we appointed Ochiro Ayako to be the head of this project because then he was the previous minister. And I think the project is still running, but it has not materialized fully because by now we should have nuclear energy in the country. Then he came up with an idea of kerosene-free Kenya. He said it was very easy. Instead of using mafuta ya taa, why don't we get solar panels? So during the day, you put the panel outside the house, and then it gets power. You can charge your phones. There was even a cooking demonstration in Moranga. Women making a very with the solar. Yeah. So, in addition to pioneering democracy, I think Raila was also the pioneer of green energy, in this country. he was a very forward-looking person. Then 2010 Constitution. Actually, Raila was the driver of the 2010 Constitution. And now that we are working together on both PNU and ODM, it was easy. So he appointed Anyang' Nyong'o and Janet Ongera into the referendum secretariat. And then I worked with Anyang' Nyong'o from the PNU side and Professor Kawanja. And so we are the ones who were in charge of that campaign. We drove it. Raila started, but he got unwell. I think we were campaigning for the constitution in Nairobi, in Damu Estate. But after he got unwell, we continued the campaign with Kibaki. And because the two contestants were now working together, it was easy to deliver the 2010 constitution. Unfortunately, the church and the current president who were against it at that particular time. But we won. The constitution has opened space. It brought in new ideas about devolution, inclusivity. Actually, it's the most progressive constitution we have in Africa today, because we had even looked at the South African constitution, and they decided, to move a bit higher than the South African constitution. Now, because I don't want to talk forever, let me deal with an aspect about Raila, the enigma. Raila has been in every government. He tried the elections very many times, many disputed, but Raila always emerged with a lot of popularity, even after the elections. And there is no government which could rule in Kenya without support of Raila. So he had to support. Moi could not rule without Raila. Kibaki could not rule without Raila. Uhuru could not rule without Raila. And even Ruto cannot rule without Raila. There are very many people who have gone out, especially among you in social media, saying Raila is a traitor, he has betrayed the people, he has perpetuated status quo. I want to tell you, whenever Raila was, his mission was one. Just like he had gone to dismantle Kanu. He got into every regime with an idea of moving the reform forward. He never abandoned, whatever situation he found himself. Even now, with Ruto, he has a 10 points.
Make their day even more special. Be home your way.
To democracy, not only in Kenya, but in Africa. And you can see the youth have given up. They are united, their chemistry and the regimes are wide apart. That's why they are declaring themselves partyless, leaderless, and tribalist, everything less. We have been trying to follow that trajectory. And sometimes very good intentions can also take us backwards. We have seen, for example, the Gen Z revolution in Madagascar. very progressive in what they are talking, but because of that leaderlessness, because of partylessness, they create a governance vacuum, which is occupied by the military. And the other conservative forces. So, although we are fighting for multi-party democracy, we feel this could also be a threat, because we can take the country back to where it came from in 1980s and all that. So as you are debating, my friends, please let us engage with the young people and let us see, whereas their demands are legitimate, can we find a way of sustaining, those demands? One way that we can continue with Raila's dream is to make sure that this country will never go back to dictatorship or military dictatorship through any form. I think for me, that is the message I could have. And I think if Raila was alive, he would fight, he will continue fighting to protect and promote the gains of democracy in this country. Long live Raila.
Long live.
Thank you very much. I would like to request you to please appreciate the Honorable Kiraitu Murungi just once more. Thank you so much. You know, my colleague didn't do the introduction properly because he was running. He's rushing out of time. I'm preparing the band because you are going to welcome Mheshimiwa. But to sort of just prepare the ground. The Honorable Kiraitu Murungi, as he told you, he went to Shimoletewa, and this I was picking up from the history books. He was among those crazy, brave lawyers who would represent people like Raila, specifically Raila. They went and they represented him. He was a young advocate then. I think he was also teaching at the university. You can tell that from the way, he's got this slow burn. When ukichapwa nyahunyo na intellectual, they do it slowly, very, very gently, but it lands. So, like that thing he said about being partyless, it's landed in a very uncomfortable place, but it's a true place. Kiraitu, I met the Honorable Kiraitu in my youth. He probably doesn't remember that. He was preparing a manuscript called In the Mud of Politics. And I've always used that as a sort of guidepost for understanding him. Because he engages in politics almost as a mission of necessity. Because I think he's more on this side, he's more on the human rights side, and the politics, he does it as pragmatism. And if you go into beyond politics, conversations with him, an Odyssey in Politics, those are books that, show some of his thoughts. You see that he's very, very deliberate about how he thinks about this country. Of course, he was our first minister for constitutional affairs, and so created the architecture and the movement for reform. And so you can see that. And of course, I didn't know the story, Mheshimiwa, about Mandela. I'm learning some of those things in the Nyeri one. I didn't know about them. Please, we are very grateful that you are able to be vulnerable and to speak about those things. We need that record to be complete. He's a founder, as I mentioned earlier before we walked into the room. He's one of the 5 founders of the Kenya Human Rights Commission.
The heart of Africa, a new kind of school is rising. Freedom International Schools Africa. We are Africa's most affordable IB World School, offering world-class education without compromise. We have strong foundations in education. Our learning begins with identity and ends with global excellence. We are raising critical thinkers, compassionate leaders, world changers who are rooted in Ubuntu and take pride in being African. From early years to primary and middle years, and soon the prestigious diploma program, your child can learn with us until they are ready to join any university of their choice. We have all the IB programs with beautiful boarding facilities, vibrant arts and sports, teachers who love and listen. Every child grows in confidence and purpose. Join our school. January intake is ongoing.
FOMO? We say no more FOMO. Not when you have happy hour. Scroll, stream, post, and play endlessly. It's your time for unlimited fun. Because when you have the happy hour bundle, you can do kila kitu. This is huge. At only 19 bob for 1 hour or 45 bob for 3 hours. All you have to do is download and use my Airtel app or simply dial *544#. Always be in the know. Buy the happy hour bundle today. Now bado tuna grow. Airtel.
The band, 2 numbers. 2 numbers as we prepare the Honorable Winnie Odinga I hope that's sort of fair warning. If we do some 2 numbers, then play something she likes.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
I think we'll start with one that Baba really loves. And one day in a very honorable space like this, he just called upon us through one of our comrades, Gedhuku, and asked him, please, can you sing the original song of Mambo Ni Yale Yale? But because of the many political contexts that have happened in the country, so we keep changing our songs to suit the time. So we didn't have the original lyrics then, because we keep on changing just to go with the trend. We want our songs to be trendy and to everybody to feel part and parcel of that. So we're going to sing the original version of the song Mambo Ni Yale Yale. Njidi, I know you love this song as well. So, yeah, so here you go. Ni yale, mambo ni yale, ni yale, mambo ya ukoloni, ni yale, mambo ni yale, ni yale.
Bring it down, bring it down, Sophie. We cannot sing and people are sitting. This is reggae. And Baba said nobody can stop reggae. Take it from the top once again. Towards you. Weka kidole juu namna hii. Twende. Joey.
Mambo ni yale, mambo ya ukoloni ni yale, mambo ni yale, mambo ya ukoloni, mambo ni yale, watu wetu wa kila mahali, na yote kwa makombo wanayotupiwa na wadhalimu wanyonyaji walimo nchini mwetu kama ile.
Yep. Greetings in the name of the Most High. Joey.
Tunanunua kuni kutoka misitu yetu, tunatiririkwa na jasho katika ardhi yetu, na faida ni kwa wadhalimu waliotukalia mapato ya jasho letu. Hadithi ile, mambo ni yale, mambo ya ukoloni ni yale, mambo ni yale, mambo ya ukoloni. Chakula chetu wa Kenya tunatolea jasho, chauza kile kizuri, tunatupiwa mabaki ambapo ingekuwa na tule kile kinono. Chakula chetu wenyewe tunachotolea jasho, ni yale,
mambo ni yale.
Your wealth deserves world-class benefits. Use your Standard Chartered Visa cards to book Qatar Airways flights, Qatar holidays, or student club travel and enjoy collective offers of up to 32% on Qatar Airways. Now's your time for wealth.
Tutavunja vunja vunja vunja, tutakata kata, tutabonda bonda minyororo ya wadhalimu. Hey, tutavunja vunja vunja vunja, tutakata kata, tutabonda bonda minyororo ya wadhalimu. Na tupamoja na nyinyi, tupamoja na nyinyi, tupamoja na nyinyi, tupamoja na nyinyi, mashujaa wa Kenya. Tupamoja na nyinyi, tupamoja na nyinyi, tupamoja na nyinyi wa Kenya, tupamoja na nyinyi wa Kenya, mashujaa wa Kenya. Ya 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 ya. Oh ya ya. Ya 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 ya. Ya ya. Ya 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 ya. Kupigwa rungu, webaki nyuma sitwaenda na haki. Kupigwa rungu, webaki nyuma sitwaenda na haki. Hata mateso, webaki nyuma sitwaenda na haki. Mateso, webaki nyuma sitwaenda na haki. Ya 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 ya. Simama, simama, simama imara. Simama, simama, simama imara. Simama, simama, simama imara. Simama, simama, simama imara. Ya 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 ya. Ya 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 ya. Ya 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 ya. Oh. Ya 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 ya. Oh, pamoja we. Pamoja 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 twashinda. Oh, pamoja. Pamoja 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 twashinda. Pamoja we. Pamoja 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 twashinda. Oh, pamoja. Pamoja 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 twashinda. Whoa!
Five says, thank you. Thank you very much. You remind me of my youthful years. I hope you're all settled now. And I like the way that we are all managing the time so that we are not in a rush. I think we want to be able to listen to one another. The estate of the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga is so large that, you know, even if we were to fight over that inheritance, we would not finish it. Everybody sort of takes a part, and there's still so much left. And the memories, I mean, there are things I'm hearing today that I have not heard anywhere else. So I am preparing the Honorable Winnie Odinga to come to the stage. So I just tell you one small anecdote. I don't know her personally. I've seen her in public. I think there was a slight moment there. We almost met in 2018. just before the 2017 election. And the little I know about her is that I think being, in terms of the birth order, being where she is in terms of the birth order, she probably was the one who, I don't know if felt or extended or mirrored the compassion of Raila Odinga. I think mirrored is probably the right word. She mirrored the compassion of Raila Odinga more than everything else that we see. Was this complex mosaic of things we all saw and took away whatever it is that we wanted to take away. But the 2013 election was particularly difficult in terms of how it panned out, how it ended, went to the court decided it's not listening to some of the evidence. And I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but from the little spaces I've occupied, the person who actually nursed Baba back to be able to contest 2017 is Winnie. It's something that a lot of people don't know. We don't give her flowers for it. We don't give her credit. We just look at her as the last born. But actually, the person who kept Baba's diary, now I can reveal, the person who kept Baba's diary and made sure he was now on script is like, this country still needs you. And the person who had the presence of mind to see that and to help Baba and say, even if you need me to be your PA, I will do that thing. And she did. In fact, she over-delivered. And so for those of us who sort of have a bit of that, I see Ongwen is smiling, but I will tell you about Ongwen, whom I also know from another life. The things that are unseen in terms of the things that Winnie was able to lift and to do tells us that there was a very deep personal connection. There's a father-daughter thing, but I think there are things that Winnie, the Honorable Winnie Odinga, shared with her father. And so she's the absolute perfect person to speak to us about Raila Odinga, the legacy and the family, and how she experienced him. Because she got it. She got it and she got him. And as we are trying to sort of put all these different pieces together, I think there is no one better able to help us to curate that aspect of his humanity and how he was able to channel that humanity into his nation, into his continent, and into his world. I would like now to request you to please put your hands together and bring to the stage the Honorable Winnie Odinga.
Obongo! Obongo Nyasaye Nyakalaga! Nyasaye Nyakalaga! Ikawa Gwambo, ikawa Raila Winnie. Obongo! Amolo! Amolo! Amoli yonge! Amoli yonge! Kiraitu Murungi yuwak. Jerika Beperi yuwak. Amolo! Amolo Pinduto yuwak. Obongo! Joey! Joey! Joey!
How'd you go after that? A lot of times I hear politicians, when they introduce themselves, they say, my name is Honorable so-and-so. And I always say, no, you are not born with the name Honorable, it's just a title. My name is Winnie, and I am so very honored to be here in front of all of you today. People I've looked up to my whole life, I've learned from, I've respected, and that have helped shape and move this country forward. So thank you very much for having me here today. I didn't know that today was in honor of Raila Odinga. the letter I was sent was give a speech kind of about him, but I didn't know the whole thing was about him. So if my speech is a bit off, I'm going to try my best. First of all, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, political titans, stalwarts of civil society, and a special shout out to the future leaders in the room, the young Kenyans. A very good afternoon to you all. Before Honorable Kiraitu left, I wanted to tell him a story. Honorable Kiraitu actually knew me before I knew him. I was in kindergarten here in Nairobi, and all of a sudden, the students stopped calling me Winnie. They started calling me Winnie Odinga. And that thing used to irritate me, because they also used to say it like that. And shortly, I found out there was another Winnie in the other class. But we didn't know who this Winnie was. So one day, my mother was picking me up, and Kiraitu himself came to pick up his daughter. And my mother said, "Oh, you're Baba Winnie." And he said back, "Yeah, so you're the Mama Winnie." And that was a very good friend of mine. Her name is Winnie McKenna. Today we gather not just to reflect on the legacy of the late Right Honorable Raila Odinga, a man who not only dreamt of democracy, but was also brave enough to wake up every morning to fight for it. In honoring Baba, as we fondly called him, we're reminded that he had a rare quality of being both profound, but yet approachable. He had that unique ability to challenge a great dictator and charm a drunken cat. I always thought he must have had a hidden career as an acrobat, because he would leap effortlessly from an office to dancing in stage in a matter of minutes. On this International Human Rights Day, our theme is all human, all equal. It's a very beautiful sentiment when we shout it from the rooftops. However, I often wonder how many of us truly integrate it into our lives. Let's be honest, sometimes we forget that all humans are indeed equal, especially in this country when it comes to simple things like queuing up for services or prioritizing whose voice matters when it comes to decision making. Our democracy should reflect this ethos, and yet, as we semi-joke about it, we must acknowledge the serious tensions currently simmering beneath the surface of our nation. I call it, we're going through a crisis of generations, where young people are not being allowed to define their future, and older generations seemingly switch the goalposts whenever we get near it. I feel we have a crisis of culture, a crisis of religion, of tradition versus technology, a sort of war in our society. We have a society where men and women still are not quite equal, even when we talk about that. Where a young woman from Bondo can ask a simple question in Mombasa, and they say it's disrespect, but a man can ask the same question in not as polite a manner, and they say it's leadership. See, the Kenyan youth do not live in Kenya. My mother, she watches the news. We always joke the only thing she watches is the news. I, on the other hand, never watch Kenyan news. I'm physically present in Kenya, but I join my colleagues online. These young people are exposed to a world where they are told they are enough, that they are smart enough, they are strong enough, and what they say and think matters. When some of you have an issue with your phone, you always ask a young person around you to fix it. They do it in 1 minute. I'll tell you today, that thing irritates them. Because that's not all they are good for. They can do many things in 1 minute that may take you a bit longer time. So we need to give them a little bit more space. In 2025, we have witnessed a kaleidoscope of events. Youth-led movements demanding accountability. Our regional neighborhood here is not quite like us. There's been public outcry for reforms and a palpable sense of fatigue with governance that feels more like a game of musical chairs than a platform for true participation. But fear not, for the absence of change is where inspiration begins. And that is precisely where Baba thrived. He believed that passion could shake the walls of our political history. Challenge the status quo and remind us that democracy is not just a political system, but a way of life woven into the fabric of our society. Raila Odinga was a man who understood that leadership was derived from the will of the people and not the will of its leaders. He used to say, leadership isn't about a title. It's about showing up every day, fighting for what is right, and others as you climb. And lift he did. From pushing for multi-party democracy to championing the rights of every Kenyan, he stood firm in the belief that every voice counts. Isn't it ironic, though, that the very people Raila fought for sometimes questioned his methods? Some called him a radical. I prefer to say that he was a dreamer, a visionary who dared to walk where others hesitated because he envisioned a future where no one was left behind. In his memory, we've been tasked with the responsibility not just to dream the future, but to shape it. So what lessons can we draw from Baba's life? First, that change is absolutely possible, but it comes with a heavy dose of courage, persistence, and let's not forget, a sprinkle of humor to lighten those heavy moments. The other day I watched a video of him when he was trying to enter the DCI office. And the officer at the gate told him, I think, Mheshimiwa, you were there. The officer at the gate told him that he can't enter. And Baba turned it into a soap opera. He first tilted his head, raised his eyebrow, and asked, why not? When the officer stood firm, Baba switched gears and started a charming protest demanding access to the public office. That officer did not back down, but neither did Baba. He threatened to rally a crowd to bring down the gate. As I watched this video, I could hear him say three things. He always used to say, procedure first, pressure second, then we take action. Later, as we shared a laugh over the social media storm that followed, he was crying with laughter, saying, you must learn to laugh at yourself. It means you take yourself less seriously. If only we could apply that wisdom at the national governance level in Kenya. In Kenya, institutions work together like a family during a heated dinner. Lots of shouting, some staring, and when all else fails, people storm out to their different rooms. Even the president sometimes admits to us that he feels shackled by the behemoth of bureaucracy. People are often afraid of change